So there's been leaks of what the 2026 C8 Corvette updated interior would look like. GM has 0 C8 allocations for the month of March, and there's a unique 1975 C3 Corvette prototype car up for sale. And we're gonna talk all about that in today's video. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and alrighty. First out of the bat, we have some really exciting news to share with respects to first shots of the updated interior in the 2026 C8 Corvette. And these images come from our good friend Justin over at Horsepower Obsessed and his insider source. We also have shots of some Zoras, C8 Zoras that are driving around, and as you can see, they have the updated interior too. So deep diving into these interior changes, we see a lot of changes happening primarily in the center dash section. That big wall of buttons looks like it's no longer going to be the case, including the AC controls that you would find there. This is probably one of the biggest points of contentions between those that either absolutely love it or they hate it on their C8 Corvette, that major wall of buttons. I'm a little bit on the fence, mostly because I've gotten used to those wall of buttons, and honestly, I always liked the priority of the buttons more to the driver in that case. What I do appreciate is the reappearance of that dedicated grab handle, which is going to be where the wall buttons were. Now, bear in mind, the handle is split between what you see here for the center dash and the forward dash, which would connect to give a full handle to work with. And then the next thing of big note is the cup holders. They're not only moved, but are no longer covered in that style and is a full open cup holder design. Now, GM did add some extra flares to those cup holders, where the inside flaps of the cup holders are actually going to be leather pieces that you can match to the interior specific color of your C8. So if you have a red interior or a blue interior or a natural interior, you can actually make it match inside the cup holders, which is kind of cool. So like with the wall buttons, I'm a little bit conflicted though, because I do like the clean look, especially when the cup holder cover is closed and I don't have any drinks in the car. But I do appreciate this new update. I find it more functional. And I think that functionality even goes further with GM moving the charging port of the phone up to the front and center compared to between the seats and but like under the speaker. I can actually really appreciate that being there, located where I can just like lay my phone there and actually actively pick it up instead of having it to the side of me, because I couldn't tell you how many times I've forgotten my phone in my car because I'm not looking at it. I know that's probably like a first world problem, but honestly, it is a more functional setup in my opinion. So there's a few questions though of where some of these buttons that were on the older style C8 interior and what's happening to them, particularly the AC buttons and where they're gonna go. So from the information I've gathered, the AC buttons are actually going to go underneath the infotainment screen, since there's actually a bit of room to play with there. And this has actually been confirmed by Rick Conti, who has a picture clearly showing those AC buttons arranged accordingly. So, and then the front lift and suspension buttons, I'm thinking they're going to take that small open slot that you see in the picture, or they're going to be electronic switches on the actual display screen, which then goes into our next update, which is the display itself. Now, from what I've seen and heard, the outside edge of this display screens isn't really going to change much, but there's always been quite a bit of a border between the actual screen and the outside edges on the old design. So it's actually almost like an inch around that you can see, which is pretty significant. So GM could look at reducing that border and fit a larger screen altogether there while still maintaining the outside edge. So you could definitely get an inch to 2 inches of a larger screen in there, which is definitely a plus. Alrighty, with that being said, so the next bit of news we have to talk about is C8 allocations, or lack thereof. And that's because GM has decided to give 0 allocations for the month of March. And this info is coming out of Corvette Blogger. All of this looks to be a decision to help GM get more time to sort out the ZR1 issues, and more particularly certain options that were not going to be available. So while previous allocations have been given out for soon-to-be ZR1 owners, there's been some major option restrictions on really popular options, including the ZTK package. And that ZTK package is the super aggressive wing with the upgraded suspension, all those kind of good upgrades that allowed the ZR1 to get those really fast times, those record-breaking times at the different racetracks here in the US. So GM has pulled back some of those ZR1 orders from the 3,000 status, that is production accepting those orders and giving the estimated build date, back down to the 2,000 level, potentially to remedy that ZTK package issue, or at least provide a high wing option to be available. Now, all of this has a level of speculation because GM has been pretty tight-lipped on what the real situation is. But with GM not giving any kind of allocations out, this is their way of trying to figure out the supplier shortage issues and at least taking it more seriously. Now, with this set of news, there's also a lot of indicators out there that the end dates for the 2025 and 2026 production runs will be shifted to later dates. So generally speaking, those order cycles for at least the 2025 would end in the month of May, and then order cycles for 2026 models would start then for June. But with this zero allocation now in the mix and remaining shutdowns at the Bowling Green plant still scheduled, it would honestly be in GM's best interest to make an extension in order to make ZR1 give ZR1 customers a better chance at getting exactly what they want. Again, this is a bit of speculation still, as GM is really the only ones that could tell us what is really going on. They're being pretty tight-lipped about it, but as more information is going to be coming down the pipeline, I will definitely be sharing it with you guys. Okay, so last bit of news actually looks at classic Corvettes, and a pretty unique one at that. And that is up for auction and actually should be closing pretty soon as of the recording of this video. But it looks like a C4, but as you can see, it has some interesting different qualities compared to the standard C4 that you see around. And this is actually because it's a C3 Corvette in disguise. So this was another cool article that I actually found out from Corvette Blogger, and it's originally a C3 Corvette that was modified as a sort of unique prototype C4. It's labeled as a design study, but it's definitely just kind of like almost a unique prototype of what the C4 could have looked like. And currently it's being sold by a dealer found in Mount Pleasant in South Carolina. Now, the C3 was originally a 1975 design study that was ordered by Frank Milne at Harry Mine Chevrolet in Los Angeles, which was the largest Corvette dealer at the time. The work involved restyling the front and rear bodywork, as well as making updates to the headlights and taillights. On top of that, the car did have some pretty tasteful features like 15-inch basket weave wheels and a 350 cubic inch V8 and a 3-speed automatic transmission. So I mean, nothing's perfect, but this is the sort of modding C3 that was imagining what a C4 could look like. And honestly, I don't think it looks half bad. This car has actually been getting around too, getting shipped to Europe in 1996 and spending its time over there until 2024, when the current dealer was able to bring it back to the US. And as a recording of this video at auction with no reserve of around $18,000, that's actually not too bad of a price. The vision of what the C4 could have looked like in the design, I think, is pretty darn good. But what do you guys think? And I mean, when you compare it to an actual C4, it's not too shabby of a makeshift concept car. Alrighty guys, so next few videos, we have plenty of product reviews and how to install videos coming down the pipeline, including updates to the garage, doing an oil change on my C8 Z06 for the first time, as well as how to do it on yours. And then we also launched recently a new series of videos called The History of Speed on the channel, where we actually explore the history of our favorite sports cars. And this last video, we looked at the C1 Corvette, so definitely check out that video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.